Jack, I'm honored to have you on the pod, man. It's been incredible to witness your journey from afar. And I know you'll continue to do big things, but I want to take it back to the beginning, man. What inspired you to start out to win? And what was the original problem that you were trying to solve when you got into this space?
Yeah, thank you so much, Malcolm, for having me. It's been cool to build this relationship over the last several years now in the sports tech space. Uh, and it's funny because like now I'm going back to the origin story, which has nothing to do with tech. Uh, I mean, a lot to do with sports. And it was NIL being passed in 2021, so college athletes for the first time ever could get paid. And I was a 19-year-old junior in college, sitting in class next to athletes at Syracuse University, and athletes had no idea how to take the first step towards taking advantage and capitalizing on this new NIL opportunity. Uh, for context, I was an entrepreneurship major. That past summer, I'd interned at a athlete marketing agency for pro athletes. So I had just learned like what it looks like to put deals together between uh, pro athletes and brands. And I realized that NIL was, I mean, it was literally that, but now the opportunity existed for college athletes. So I put my best foot forward in helping athletes at Syracuse get deals with local mom and pop stores, restaurants, et cetera, around the local Syracuse area. So like our first deal was with a local gym called Hercules Gym in Syracuse. Ended up partnering with a couple different restaurants and mom and pop stores around the area. And I realized that the potential for athletes to partner with brands, it wasn't just, helping the athlete make a couple bucks. It was helping the brand actually increase their awareness across campus. It was allowing them to partner up with those that drove culture around, a very hyper local area. And we kind of took that concept and ran with it more towards the brand marketing
Hmm.
focus. So like partnering up with brands, helping them build campaigns that really helped drive additional, whether it was foot traffic awareness, impressions, etc. And fast forward to 2, 3 years, we're working with brands like Reebok, Oakley, Nerf, helping them build their first ever NIL campaigns. So obviously that's a big fast forward,
Yeah.
like 2 years of grind in there that weren't so pretty, maybe so not pretty that I'm not even including it in the storytelling part. But we're working with big time brands, helping them build their first ever campaigns, and we realized that brands lack access to the data they need to properly evaluate athletes as influencers. You can go find who's throwing the most touchdowns, who's scoring the most baskets, but brands were struggling to properly find and then analyze athletes based on how good they are at creating content, how strong they are as a potential influencer partner. So that is all where we ended up pivoting into building the athlete marketing intelligence platform, which is what we are today at Out2Win, uh, a data intelligence technology that helps brands, agencies, and universities build smarter partnerships in the NIL space. I hope that wasn't too drawn out of an
No, that
origin
was good.
story,
That was
but
good, man.
set the table.
That was really good, man. I'm interested to hear more about like the data part of it all. Like, one, how was that transition for you becoming a tech founder? And two, like, how did you figure out how to build this product and what brands needed when it came to like the metrics and the information they needed to effectively create these campaigns?
Yeah, well, I'll answer the second
Yeah.
question first, because so much of that I'd learned through that whole process of building campaigns with brands as, feet on the ground, uh, getting our hands dirty in conversations with brands, and we were learning what they cared about. One, in terms of just like the qualitative data around like they wanted athletes who could show energy and speak well on camera in their
Mhm.
content. They wanted athletes who maybe had certain interests, certain characteristics. And then there was also a lot of quantitative data. They reach a certain audience located in a certain area or hitting a certain demographic of age and gender, being within a certain budget and a certain follower count. Those were types of things that you couldn't just go and sort through. I mean, you could use a general influencer marketing platform, but it struggles to help you actually find specifically, whether that be college athletes or just athletes in general, like brand influencer marketing platforms are relatively popular in this era. Like
Yeah.
brands building campaigns or using platforms like Creator IQ or Upfluence, et cetera. One brand actually shared their screen with me, and they typed in college basketball player in one of these platforms, and Nicki Minaj was the first search. Just to give an idea of like where our differentiation comes, it's helping with the discoverability within this very specific vertical that so many brands are now trying to activate within. So we learned a lot of the data, the wants and needs that they had from the process of digging in a hands-on fashion with our early brand partners like the Reeboks and Oakleys of the world. Uh, the transition into building tech was, I mean, it was super challenging
Yeah.
on myself, like having been really, a sports marketing agent for the 3 years prior. But what I realized is that uh, in order to scale this business to where I knew it had the potential of going in this brand new space, it required a technology backing. So what I did was, of course, a lot of research on my own, but also made sure to surround myself with the right people who could help us take on that challenge of entering the tech space. So not only brought in an engineering team, but also uh, team members who are product and tech oriented that have just really helped navigate that side of building the product while I can pretty much kind of be the translator of that into the sports marketing world and understanding of all the wants and needs that exist from all the personas out there.
That's dope, man. Can you also dive into like the Out2Win score? Because I was doing some research on the platform and saw that you guys had your like own proprietary, I guess it's a algorithm or score that you guys come up with for each athlete. I thought that was really dope. So you gotta explain what that is for people who might not understand.
Yeah, and honestly, it does go back to your question before around like how did we understand what brands really cared about? Because the way that we built the Out to Win score was through surveying and discussions with brands to understand what was most important and prioritized in their decision-making process for the right athlete fit. And that all ended up leading to the weighting of that algorithm to best create this Out to Win score. So it takes into account one, like how well an athlete's engaging their audience, two, how frequently they're posting content, three, how well they've performed in the past in branded partnerships and in branded content. And then also follower growth, how much they happen to be trending at a certain point in time, like over the last 6 months. So those are some of the metrics included in the algorithm, but really the goal of that out to win score is to stack athletes up against each other as influencers to show as a brand taking into consideration which athletes they'll be working with, how does this athlete compare to another in terms of their overall capabilities as an influencer. So those metrics that we've included in the algorithm are, of course, representative of, like it takes out the touchdowns, the goals, the on-field statistics, and more so compares athletes as off-the-field marketers.
That's really cool, man. And obviously you've been in this space since the inception. Like and I would say NIL is still very nascent. Like we're in the beginning stages of this kind of shift and don't really know where it's going to end up. But when you look at from like the beginning of when the NIL started to now, what has shifted when you think about how brands are engaging with athletes and how brands are thinking about NIL?
Yeah, it was very much like a dip your toes in the water game at first, where it feels like brands are doubling down and going all in on NIL. One cool observation that I've seen is just the amount of typically is larger enterprise level brands that are coming out with these like NIL teams, like Celsius, for example,
Mhm.
Beats by Dr. Dre, like will come out with their like fall team, and it's not gonna be, like one-off campaigns. It's gonna be like a whole group of athletes that they bring together as their yearly roster. And what's cool about college athletics is that it can be a yearly roster because there's so much churn in college
Yeah.
athletics. There's so much turnover, and these brands like Beats and Celsius are realizing that they're new superstars every year, and to solidify themselves as a trendsetter in the space, they're coming in and grabbing those new superstars each year and putting them, as the face of their brand within college athletics. That's a really cool trend that I've seen in the NIL space that feel like is cool to point out. But brands that were dipping their toes into the water in 2021 when we were first getting involved are now, doubling down on their investment and making it a core part of their marketing strategy for reaching Gen Z through social media.
Hmm. From your perspective, do you feel like NIL and even I guess you can kind of tie in the transfer portal, do you feel like it's kind of taking over the essence of amateurism in college sports? Like, do you think it's bigger than what it should be? And that athletes are putting too much emphasis on it?
I mean, I just think that like on the NIL discussion, athletes deserve to have the opportunity to monetize the value that they bring to the table as a personal brand and even just as the value they're bringing to their school as an athlete. So it's tough to look at it from like a good versus bad light in terms of like what it does to society, because at the end of the day, it's just like a human right that I think these athletes deserve to have. Does it ruin potentially, like the amateur side of college sports? Like maybe inherently, but it's just right.
Yeah.
Like these athletes deserve to have the opportunity to to not be blocked off from monetizing, the value that they bring to the table.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, like a lot of it is centered around college athletes, but you look at like high school athletes nowadays, like they have an immense amount of opportunities to build their personal brands. Like, what advice would you give in high school an athlete who's looking to take advantage of their NIL, looking to have opportunities outside of off the playing field, and kind of wants to really create a brand and a platform for themselves?
Yeah, I mean, we live in an era that's so driven by social media, and the creator economy is becoming so prevalent in sports. I think that, I mean, we have freshmen coming to college with hundreds of thousands of followers on social media, and not to mention like, the Kyan Anthony's of the world who has 2 million followers entering college. So it really is, if I were talking to athletes 5 years ago, I'd be saying create content because that'll set you up for success. Today, that's a given. You're gonna need to be creating some form of content in order to stand out, whether that's documenting the behind the scenes of like your journey through high school into college, or it's showcasing different interests that you have away from your sport. That's the way that you build your NIL value. But I think the the advice that I'll give today, because that's no longer advice, that's like the obvious, is to be really specific and strategic about who you're aligning yourself with, and don't just take any offer that comes to you, especially when you're young, you're in high school and you're trying to build a long-term sustainable brand. Like really get intentional about who you're working with, and even potentially, go out and align yourself with brands that maybe aren't reaching what you think you're worth for in initial partnership, but think of it in the long term about how you can, become a partner as you grow your personal brand, and they grow their business. Because so many of these partnerships can become long-term investments on both sides, but too many people, I think about NIL in the short term in terms of just upfront cash for posts on social media, and that one, it loses credibility in the eyes of your audience and the brand you're trying to build. And two, a lot of times it just doesn't pan out to a mutually beneficial partnership on the side of the brand, because they're likely not going to see instant return on investment in sales generated. On the flip side, if you can build, a longer term partnership where both sides are equally invested in building something sustainable together, I feel like there's just such a larger opportunity to build a really fruitful, mutually beneficial partnership.
I love that, man. That's really sound advice. Obviously, like Out2Win is a B2B data platform, but for athletes, how important do you think data, metrics, I guess purely speaking from a qualitative point of view, how important do you think that is for them when it comes to building their social media, building a brand? Like, is that something they need to be tracking and understanding and trying to utilize? Or should it purely more so like their focus should be on the creative element of it all?
I do think there's good balance to be had in the honestly in the data leading to the creative, because if you can truly understand who your audience is, it can allow you to more intentionally lean into creating content for them. I mean, above all, I think you should make content for yourself, because that's what's most sustainable. If you start trying to be someone you're not to reach an audience that you're naturally reaching, you're not going to be able to create content for long because you're going to burn out. Like in talking to just creators, what I always hear is that when they can make content that they enjoy making and that feels like them, it allows for them to do it consistently
Yeah,
versus, oh, I gotta go make this video for to try and impress and satisfy these people that I don't even truly care about. Uh, that said, understanding the audience that you reach by, by age, by gender, by interest, and by brand affinities, it can just allow you to strategically build creative that ties in what you know is going to resonate with that audience.
for sure. For sure. Uh, Going back to like when you started or pivoted out to win to what it is today, was there ever a moment or like a customer success story or favorite campaign that comes to mind for you when you're like, oh, I've really got something here?
Yeah, I mean, like one of my favorite partners to date is Roback, and I've really enjoyed working with a lot of brands. So I Roback is just one of them that has become such an amazing like both like client and friend in the
Yeah,
space because not only have they seen great success, but they've like really given us good feedback around how our platform's been able to help them, and then helped us grow our platform in places that it can be better to help them even more. One of the coolest things that they do that uh, is kind of has been like an aha moment for us is a combination of partnering with superstars who can really set the brand out in this light of like credibility and show like they're partnering with this year, Lenore Sellers, Cade Klubnik, Nick Singleton, some of the superstars of college football. What they also do is they amplify those partnerships through more micro influencers. And I think it's something that many brands, if they aren't already, should be taking note of is, not only trying to go after the big fish in the market, but also find ways to integrate different creators across college sports. Like they're partnering with women's tennis players, lacrosse, field hockey, athletes across all different sports that in a lot of cases are at the same campuses as those other superstar athletes that they're working with. And it's been super cool to just see how it amplifies the impact of those partnerships by, uh, you know, I guess really just casting a wider net
yeah.
of the audience that they're able to reach in their NIL partnerships.
That's really smart strategy. You guys raised 1.3 million earlier this year. Take me back from like a high level perspective for like what the fundraising process was like, and like what advice would you give yourself, if you were raising again or like raising for the first time?
Yeah. Yeah, it was such I mean, I don't even know the right adjective to use. It was a cool experience. It was a really cool experience because I was super nervous, to go about my first ever fundraiser. I'm a first time founder, so it was a big deal to, dive into fundraising for the first time. I learned so much so quickly, and that's why it was such a cool experience because now I feel, excited and ready for future opportunities of raising funding when the time comes. And I guess going back to the beginning, like one of the things that I learned super early was that it really did come down to just being compelled in your vision and being able to tell the right story, the right narrative for where you're going, to be able to get people to buy in to not only the company but into you. That's probably like the number one thing that I learned throughout the process is that it really does like at a stage as early as we are, it really is about getting investors to buy into you. So that's why the story becomes so important because if you can, paint the narrative and show your passion and excitement, it gets them excited and it gets them passionate. So that was like the main learning I'd say of raising early stage. Secondly, that smart cash is better than than just cash alone. So bringing in the right strategic partners as investors has really set this business forward because we brought in people that not only are writing a check but also are navigating us through their expertise, allowing us to leverage their
Yeah.
expertise, allowing us to tap into their network. So many opportunities that have come from our investors that have helped thrust this business forward beyond just, their cash and writing a check.
Really cool, man. Really cool. As we wind down here, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on like where do you see the NIL space in the next like 3 to 5 years? Like if you can give a high level prediction, broad prediction on how the space will turn out, or even something you want to see happen, like what would that be for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk about the creator economy side of NIL just because they're like two different, uh verticals of NIL that the one umbrella phrase covers.
Yeah,
Like that, the revenue sharing side of it is just super tough to predict right now. There's a lot constantly evolving. The one thing that I know is always staying is this influencer marketing side of sports and NIL. And I mentioned it earlier, but athletes are coming in having already built their personal brands and been creating content for years past. So the opportunity for brands to reach their target audiences through college athletes and including high school athletes, uh, that opportunity is going to continue booming. And I think it's following a relatively similar track as the creator economy, really, let's say, as TikTok creators did over the last 5 or so years. Uh, we're seeing, like I said, evolution of brands dipping their toes into the water, into doubling down on their investments. That's leading to just massive adoption and NIL athlete marketing becoming uh, an annual priority of brands to invest their marketing budgets into. I think that's going to uh, continue evolving and continue ramping up. Then on the flip side, we have universities building their own NIL sales arms into their university athletic departments, which more or less is becoming an in-house talent agency for college athletes, which I think is super interesting to look at. And the place that I see that trending towards is, schools quite literally hiring, like influencer talent managers. It's a tough task. You're managing over upwards of 700 or however many athletes,
yeah.
but that's what this space is really becoming in terms of above the cap NIL dollars that you can generate. You can't just think about it as, hey, X brand, can you please invest in my athletes to help them to help us better our program? The brand's not going to care about that. They have to align in what their priorities are, which is
Right.
generating return on investment in their marketing dollars. So one other tailwind of that could be universities prioritizing their recruiting to bring in athletes with strong social media presences
Mhm.
so that they're able to bring in more brand dollars to spread across their athlete roster. It's going to be super interesting to see, and I certainly hope and anticipate that Out2Win will be at the forefront of it.
That it will, man. Great insights. And then what's the big vision? Like what would you deem a success for Out to Win long term?
Yeah, well, I mean, right now our main focus is really just becoming the best intelligence platform in the sports influencer space. And today that exists within NIL, within college athletics. We do have expansion coming into both the high school and professional sports realm, and eventually into the general creator economy of sports. So that's our main focus right now. It's continuing to build better intelligence for brands, talent agencies, and universities that are building within the sports influencer space.
I love it, man. Last question. Cayenne Anthony, over or under 10 points, man. Freshman year.
That's a tough one. I'm gonna go under. I think this is gonna be a development year for him, but uh, I think it's going to be a development year for the Syracuse program as well, in that, having the national spotlight with him involved is going to be big for just continuing to build their just the recruiting arm of Syracuse basketball. And I'm really excited to see like what someone like him can do for building up an entire program that, has struggled over the past several years.
He got big shoes to fill, that's for
But
sure.
that's for sure. It's really cool to have him in Orange as a Syracuse alum. Like I had a Carmelo Anthony jersey while I was a student there, and I mean I could keep that and say it's a Zion jersey now, I guess.
Yeah, that's dope, man. That's dope. Jack, man, appreciate your time. Can you let people know where they can connect with you, but also find out more about Out to Win?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm super active on LinkedIn, which is just my name, Jack Adler, and then Our website is www.out2win.io. It's out the number two win.io. And yeah, we're active on Instagram, on LinkedIn as well as a company.
My guy, appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you, Malcolm.